to the High Fae Housewives podcast. I'm Blakely.
And I'm Kylie.
We're tickled pink to have you attend the final course of Rites of the Starling Community College, where we have been deep diving the second book of the Shield of Spirit series by Devney Perry. Today we will be chatting the final chapters 39 through 64.
During each episode, we will break it down to point of views. Within those points of views, we will discuss our thoughts, theories, and feelings for that point of view and timeline before moving on to the next. That way, we are not jumping back and forth between Caspia and Odessa. While we may be your silly gal pals, we don't recommend listening to this podcast around little ears or ears that may be offended because we say bad words and shitty things. Now relax those shoulders, unclench those jaws, clench that clam, and let's get into it.
We're going to start off with Caspia. Caspia's life in Quintus is simple. Fuck Andreas and start writing the diary of a not-so-limping Starling in hopes that one day, if another Starling comes along, they won't be like Akon and be so lonely. So shit is getting weird for Cass and Calandra. Her visions are lessening, the thrum is quiet, but her blood is green, and she's determined to get to the bottom of it. Caspia needed to sing another song. Nobody wants to see us together, but it don't matter, no, because I got you. Yeah, so Andreas' family, especially his bitch of a mom, wasn't a fan of Caspia. Andreas is no longer betrothed to the other gal, and he wasted no time proposing to Cass, who, of course, is like, hell yeah, baby boo. And Andrea promised her the world, and she's like, actually, I just want to stay here and find out why Aunt O raised me and why my mama went MIA. They uncovered the truths about the Voster priests and the origins of Calandra's corruption, and they learned the gods were originally men who made demonic deals for immortality and power, and the magical orbits hidden across land are the source of the curse infecting everything. Caspia finds out the truth behind the Swift and the Crux. In Nelphenax, Swift are peaceful, but in Calandra, they become monstrous Crux during migration because of the corrupted magic. The same fate threatens Starling shapeshifters that come to this land. Cass and Andres become their own quest squad to procure the magical orbits around Calandra so they can 86 the cure. But during the missions, Caspia's magic intensifies and her visions won't stop. Sadly, Hain, who gave them all the tea about the Voster Bros and their orbits, sacrifices himself. Now that she's a mom to Odessa, she comes to the conclusion that she will have to become the Crux to save her family after endless visions. She wrote the journals for her daughter to one day know the truth. The V-Bros are closing in on the family, and her rightist thrum is getting out of control. While Odessa is still an infant, the V-Bros attack, so she says goodbye to her baby and gives into the thrum and shifts into a Crux. Her transformation is hella scary, but in Crux form, she kills the bad V-Bro. But in Crux form, she kills the bad V-Bros and saves her fam bam. Before she loses herself permanently, she hears Odessa cry, and she's able to communicate to Andreas to 86 her. Out of mercy and love, he drives a sword through her heart. When she's deader than a doornail, she shifts back into human form.
R.I.P. Caspi.
Bye-bye, baby.
I want to talk about the oldest Starling that's alive because she's weird. It's Aunt O. Why didn't she have any babies? Because Caspia shares that she never had children, choosing instead to raise me and my sisters as her own. Of her 3 nieces, it was said I took after her most. That when she had been my age, we would have been mistaken for twins. We had the same straight nose and bow-shaped lips, the same oval face and delicate chin. But she also said my aunt always said that Starling were cursed with easy infatuation. She'd blame that curse on Emery leaving with Max. Oleana had always refused a consort or lover, not wanting anyone to distract her from the ruling of Nelphenax. And something about Aunt O is really not adding up. Like, why the infatuation thing? Did she have a lover? Oh, was it the bird? The bird?
The grumpy bird? The angry bird, if you will?
Yes. I'm glad you knew exactly who I was talking about.
Wait, what's his name?
It starts with a B, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's not.
Biston.
I thought you said biscuit for a second. I was like, I don't think it's biscuit.
Fucking biscuit. The angry bird Biston.
Oh my gosh, what if, just rogue, it was Biston and she lost Biston? Like, he can't turn back, but he came back to her, but they can still communicate somehow. Who knows?
I have a lot of questions about Aunt O in general, and we'll talk about it a little bit when we go into visions, but, like, you're right, nothing adds up with her. I don't necessarily trust her, not in the sense that I think that she's bad, but, like, she's just leaving out a lot of information.
She knows more than she lets on, and she's just super sketchy, like, the way that she shuts down Caspia's visions. I don't trust her. Like, what if she's actually Caspia's mom? I don't think it, but what if? Because they look alike.
It's possible. I mean, it's weird that they don't tell us her name ever. We don't know Cassie's mom's name. Cassie even wants to find out information about her mother. Like, that's what she really wants to focus on when she's there, but she's unclear where to start. She's like, do I ask, have there been any Crux sightings in the last 25 years? Any redheaded no-names around? Her mother, or Aunt O, told her that her mother was a dreamer and that she took that as her mom's having visions like her. We know a little bit later that Aunt O does start believing in Caspia's visions. But, like, there had to have been other visions. We know that this is a Starling thing. Like, it doesn't make sense.
She's avoiding this.
And I want to know.
Yeah, why avoid the visions? She knows that they're real, 100%, but she's just like, if I ignore it, do they go away? Can I change fate if I don't address it?
Mm-hmm. That could be it.
Because Caspia believed that, she could change things. She saw Andreas with a son and somehow was able to change the future. So maybe it was Aunt O thought about that.
Well, yeah, and they make a point, like, the Voster even say, like, your mom's visions didn't always come true. Yeah, because you can change your fate. She's shifty as hell.
Yeah, I agree with you on the, like, I trust her, but I don't. She seems selfish.
Yeah. Cares a lot about power,
Yeah.
for sure. Speaking of shifty visions, let's talk about Sonnets 90, because this shit's shifty. What we know is it's a collection of 90 stories written by a man named Sonnet. He was once a famed gladiator and lane, never bested by a man or beast. Because of his skill, he earned favor with Mac. Sonnet wandered the desert for 90 days during the migration, and he had no magic or shelter or weapons. He should have been easy prey for the Crux, but Mac took pity on him and gave him stories to tell the Crux. For 90 days, Sonnet whispered those tales of magic and monsters and wars and legends. And when the Crux finally left Calandra, he returned home to write this book. It's more lore than fact, but it's significantly more entertaining than some of these others, and it's easy to carry around. I know it says that the stories were written by a man named Sonnet, but last episode I said something about Caspia's mom or a relative wrote them. And they said because they wouldn't say that this was some bitch's visions. That just wouldn't pass the vibe check. They would have said Sonnet wrote. Maybe the Starling had these visions, and like we said, the sole purpose of the story is to let them know that they can communicate with the Crux. They even say it's more lore, but allegedly these gods never even existed. So so much of the story doesn't make sense to me, and I think I was wrong about my theory on this. I don't think I don't think it was a relative the more information we get. But still, let's read about what Caspia tells us about the ancient battle. The ancient battle in Sonnets 90 goes with, there was once a great battle between the Six and an evil Pythoness. She fought with a legion of female warriors more powerful than any amassed in Calandra. Prophecies given to her by the darkness gave her an unnatural advantage in the war. And even though the Six were gods with immense power of their own, against thousands they were outnumbered. The battle raged from one summer solstice to another until finally, on a field soaked in blood, in a moment of desperation, while his siblings were being chained and burned, Mac took up his broadsword and struck down the Pythoness, cutting off her head. Though the battle was won, the Six were forever changed. Their bodies were broken. They chose to retreat to the shades, taking up their place between Amma and Oda in the stars. And for those that do not know, Pythoness is a woman that practices divination. And I had to look it up.
You're going to share with the class?
I had to, but there's a couple things in that story. What they said that Pythoness, I think, is Sora. But we know that they flipped the story on this head, whoever wrote this. They said that the prophecies given to her by the darkness. Now, we know Starling get these visions and prophecies, and they're trying to say, like Brother Haim says, it's light versus dark. It's always what it comes down to. So they're trying to make it seem like the Crux get their power from like the Infernal, but I really do think it is, what's her name?
The divine glory.
Yeah. I almost said divination in my head twice.
You're really into Professor Trelawney.
Yeah, love it. Get their power from the divine.
I'm just curious because they said, like, Max spoke to the warrior, like, who was actually speaking. Was there a real god that was speaking? And if so, who was that?
Is it that god that forsake the Voster? The unnamed god?
Because we know, like, the six aren't real gods. So who whispered? Who gave a little whisper?
Yeah, did the magician, was it one of the magicians? Like, it just,
As a magician myself, like, I can I wouldn't want to tell my secrets like that.
no. So let's talk about Sora. In Shield of Sparrows, we got this version. It's about a woman named Sora who sailed across the horizon. She was gone for 100 years, but when she returned to Calandra, she brought with her creatures and animals our realm has never seen. Some believe that is where our monsters came from, not the new gods, but gods we've never known, and a god more powerful than any other. It always made me wonder what other stories are out there. What if some of these are true? And in Rites, this is what Odessa shares. Sora was a woman who sailed across the realm. She was gone for 100 years, and then when she returned, she brought with her creatures we'd never seen. In Sora's story, the monsters were created by a powerful god, a god we don't know. She brought them to Calandra. So, is Sora the Pythoness? She was from Calandra, sailed across, found Ken, brought back these creatures that people have never seen. We all kind of assume it's bear wolves, etc. But what if she also brought more Starling to actually fight those magicians? In the story of Sonnets 90. It says women warriors, which we know Starling are, in fact, all women, and whoever's telling the story is spinning a tale that her prophecies are given by the darkness when we are told that they're actually given by the divine. But if one would want to demonize someone and change history, you would say the Pythoness is actually evil and working with dark magic rather than yourself. Now, Ransom said he used to read Sonnet as a boy. Who's he close with? The high priest. Is the high priest on it? I'm just really spitballing here, but like something's
I,
not right.
I wonder if the vision of the woman on a boat with
Mhm.
people, if that's Sora.
Hmm?
An actual vision of, like, who's to say it's not a past vision, and like we get insight to like Sora coming over, and that is a little nugget to tell us about the women that came over to fight the magicians, just to tie your story together.
So I think Sora was the Pythoness. And Caspia goes on after hearing the story, says she doesn't believe it's folklore and she has no evidence or proof and that it's just a feeling. She wants to know where she can find the history of Calandra before the Five Kingdoms, and the only history she could find is all after the migration. So was Sora coming over with the monsters the first migration?
What if when Sora brought the warriors with her, that changed the migration path? God, that infatuation and the fact that there was a lover watching that boat leave makes me think that that was Sora, like leaving Nelthanex. Because if she's coming with a bunch of people, it is a land of unknown to them.
Well, it's kind of hard because it could go a couple different ways because originally it does sound like originally Starling were from Calandra.
Right.
And so it was there, it was peaceful, and then she leaves for 100 years. Obviously, that's when migration changed, and they find Nelphinex. That's where they start their dynasty, but then she comes back. Now, we do know that Starling brought the Voster over. So are they part of the monsters that they bring?
We just
That they've seen?
we just don't have enough information. It's so frustrating because we can't even like theorize because we're missing so many pieces of the puzzle. Something that didn't get addressed too much was Elfalter. Like, what do we know about it? Only the Starling wore Elfalter rings, a symbol of status and ability. They were wide, spanning the lower half of each finger, and we know Caspia wears Elfalter armbands, and that's okay. It's a red and orange precious metal that is mined, used for roofs on the castle only. I point this out because in chapter 5, when Caspia was leaving, she saw red tile roofs, mahogany wooden doors, umber brick roads, and over my shoulder, a palace the color of pale peaches with shining lamps and gleaming elf altar roofs. In chapter 29, Caspia says this when seeing the castle in Quentis. It wasn't nearly as large as the palace in Nelphenix, but the castle was a sight. The Starling were immensely rich in Elfalter, but we didn't flaunt our status by adorning our towers with opulence, maybe because we had no need to brandish our wealth, which has me questioning Elfalter even more. Why does Elfalter warm for them? There are 2 mentions of it doing this for Caspia. I lifted my hand to the pendant resting over my heart, and the Elfalter metal warmed as I covered it with my palm. The Elfalter rings were warm on my fingers, so the necklace was worn above my heart. And one mention of it warming for Odessa and Shield. The moment the pendant rested against my skin, it warmed. The metal seemed to absorb my body's heat faster than gold or silver. Or maybe it radiated that warmth on its own. It was as much as an enigma as the symbol. So Caspia then says this: you have golden Calandra, we have Elfalter and Nelphenix. It's the purest and cleanest of all metals. It's impossibly strong, yet it can be molded under exactly the right conditions. It is as precious as any gem or metal. Is there more to this metal? Does it protect the Starling? There is only the mention of it warming on Odessa and Caspia's skin, and it is only on the roof of the castle, and Caspia does not see it as a display of wealth. Does the metal have some sort of special bond to the Starling? Which this led me to question, is the call of the orbits because the glass is infused with Elfalter? It seems to have a bond to the Starling. Did it get corrupted by the Voster when making the orbits? And that's how the Starling can find them, but also how it hurts, like, them and the Voster.
Sure. Yeah, I think they're definitely like Margot even says, your mother said that the necklace would call to you. The orbit's called a starling. Why would they have it on their roofs? Is it so that they can find their way back? Because it will call to them?
Interesting, because hypothetically, like, let's say they switched lands. Is that so
Mhm.
they can find their new home? Because once again, she doesn't see it as like significant wealth, but
Right.
it's like it's their moneymaker. They mine for it. So why is it so significant? Why is it significant enough to put on the roof of your castle?
And that's the only thing I could think of is like if they're in that form, in their swift form, and they're going back and forth, like that would be your call to go back. Like I think in shield coverage we made the joke of like it being like the ring in the pendant in Pirates of the Caribbean, like it calls to you and it sends out this thing. Like, is that what Elfalter does? Like I just something is
Truly
off.
being on the roof was very suspicious, and the fact that it only warmed for them, like there is some sort of connection. And then the mention of it being impossibly strong, that's why it's like, and it can be molded under the exact right
Yeah.
conditions. Like, if it's molded under the not right conditions, does that affect it and corrupt it?
Is it molded by fire? Like a glass type metal? Like
Are there oaths sealed to these orbits?
mm, why do they wear rings on their fingers? Like why does Starling, why is it their it's almost like their calling card or like is it when they shift they can go back? Like there's something there.
Where do the rings go when they shift? My question, is it just like a mysterious pocket? Where do those go? But does that help them? Like, are they magnets? Like that is that draws them to the roof or whatever back home in the mines?
Why would it call to her? Like, would that it call to you? Because it called to her before, well, about that age though. Rites would be starting coming.
About that age though.
About that age though. He was about that age. No. So what they say about orbits is that in Nelphenix, after we burn our dead, our funeral pyres and seal their ashes in orbits, most are kept in temples. The Starling temple is deep below the palace and show, carved into the rock. If the Starling from long ago brought their traditions from Calandra to Nelphenix, then they might have chosen burial places deep in the earth. I think we should go to the bottom of the Yvonne ravine. And then Andreas tells us besides Yvonne there and other places that are supposed to be shifty, a waterfall in Ozark that falls into a vast hole. The Mines in Lane has a tunnel through a chasm. The cliffs of the eastern shore of Genesis have caves rumored to lure people to their depths. And Caspia wonders if that's why they become so sick, because when they first got there, they were close to that dark magic. And I definitely think we will be revisiting some of these areas in the next book to get those orbits.
100%. I mean,
What?
they gave away where every location is, so we know exactly where we're going to go to destroy these bad boys.
And they just couldn't find it before because they didn't have a Starling.
Alisaria, or if you're listening to the book, Alisaria sometimes.
Only sometimes, though.
Not the whole book, just sometimes.
This is not important, but I just love that we have a Seth Hay, or it's the one that brought him to the ravine, a little Samuel Hay throwback.
It was
just a cute.
It was a moment that like kind of fucks you up. You're like, wait, is that, you had to think about it for a second. Is that
Yeah.
our friend? No. This must be an ancestor.
Yeah. I was like, aw, Samuel Hay. I didn't need to say that, though. The Voster had fluid magic. The magic hadn't seeped into the orbits of the land, and it started with water. The outer shell was clear, but its swirl of water and wind. A magical storm trapped inside, raging to be set free. That makes me worried about what will happen when they actually figure out how to ruin these orbits.
It is going to be a part of this book, and then it's also going to be part Twister. So they're going to be tornado chasing.
They have to start chasing tornadoes. We're going to get, what's that? I forget his name. I can't even say it.
They're going to tie a belt to a pipe in a bathroom, and it's going to go above them. They're going to see the eye of the storm. Why I remember so much about Twister is kind of weird, but
I haven't watched it in a couple of years. I did watch the new Twisters.
Oh, yeah. I was going to watch that, and then I didn't.
Okay.
No loss.
But I think that's going to be another portion of it.
They mention storms a lot in Caspia, like she's looking at the storm in the distance. And I just feel like that is a ton of foreshadowing with these orbits.
Yeah, like if they ruin the orbit or like are able to, is it that dark magic? Is it going to kill people? What's it going to do?
It's going to fuck up their weather patterns, for sure.
That explains a lot. This explains a lot about what's going on in our world. So we learned from Odessa's chapter from Came Across that the magic corrupted the glass and I don't know how to get rid of it. But what did that old woman do with the poisonous snake? She burnt it. What if they just need to burn the orbits? And it's really Elfalter.
If I'm married to my theory about Elfalter being infused in this, I will be very happy if I'm right.
I hope you are too.
Seems legit.
Makes sense to me.
We always say that about things, though. And we could be wrong.
We're yet to know if we're wrong yet. We're right about a lot for S.H.I.E.L.D., though.
Yeah, so I feel like we're on something. Because also, why would you mention these things if you're not going to use it?
Like the fire with the poison with the old woman. We have the Elfalter making that that they call the Starling. There's a lot there.
The fire not being hot enough.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, if you're seeing those visions, you're on the right path. Says our brothers. Our brothers. We're brothers.
Our brothers. Which brings me up to a certain brother, Haim. Haim shows up in light blue robes and gives Caspia a book that tells this tale. The magicians had once been ordinary men of religion that worshipped Calandra's spirits. They lived in a monastery deep in the mountains. One harsh winter, the men found themselves without food. They were near starving and on the brink of death. They prayed to the spirits, begging to help and to spare their lives. By the time the ice melted, nearly every man at the monastery was dead, all but 6. Feeling forsaken by their spirits, the men began worshiping demons who reveled in lost and angry souls. And the remaining 6 men made those demons a bargain. For magic and immortality, they offered their bodies as hosts. Possessed by these demons, the men became magicians. They fooled people into believing their power was a blessed gift to save humanity. They were worshipped and revered until all Calandra bowed at their feet.
My cat jumped up here. I couldn't.
I was like, well, you're smiling over there.
I'm smiling because I'm petting my cat. Not that cat. Just clarify, Bruce.
So then after he tells her that story, he comes back for a little book club to chat about, and he says that he believes in the divine, but many of the brothers do not. A lot has changed since they came to the land and inherited their gifts. I just want to point out, in the story, it says they fooled people into believing their power was a blessed gift to save humanity. Interesting that he called his magic a gift right after talking about this story.
When they're talking about it, Caspia points out that there has to be something significant about the number 6. And we know 6 is not a positive number to Caspia and those from Nelphenix. Like, what is it about that? 6 specifically. Why is there those 6 gods? Like, why does she freak out about it? Does that affect the gifts?
I feel like they had to have known. Somebody came back and said something about the 6. It's the only thing that makes sense in my head.
So many open questions. Like, what the fuck? Odessa also reiterates the land is cursed. The magicians did something to Calandra. In humans, it's the reason they have starbursts in their eyes. In the Voster, it gives you magic. In Starling, we lose control over our bloodline's gifts. I don't understand why certain animals become monsters here while others don't. Maybe they were never meant to be a part of this continent like the Swift. But regardless, there's something wrong with Calandra. This brings me to, it's only been a few generations of not shifting. Did someone break the chain of the Starling? Remember, long ago, before the 5 kingdoms, the lands and seas were overrun by monsters. To regain control, the ruling lords made a decree. Any warrior who risked their life against the beast would be granted a prize of their choosing if they returned with the heads of 7 slain females from the species. As with all treaties, the Chain of Sevens was sealed with their magic. This is the alleged story. Crux can be seen as a monster. I again wonder somehow, whatever the magicians did, is it stealing some sort of Elfalter from the land, causing the chain of reactions resulting in the weakening of the Starling? Brother Haynes said, without light to balance the dark, we become children of the night. Did they take whatever helps the Starling balance the dark? They seem to be a part of the balance if they are divine blessed.
Well, it does make you wonder, even just like the fact that it's the Chain of Sevens is 7 slain females. So it makes us think that they killed 7 Swift that were, in fact, Starling back in the day to start it. And who made this? We know that the Chain of 7 was made by the Voster. It's old magic. So why would they want to kill the Crux?
It
Not
seems
Crux.
like a indirect attack on the Crux, because once again, the female point, and like they can be seen as monsters because in Calandra they are, even though they're not in Elphenix. It seems like they've got a grudge against the Starling. Half of them, boss, not people like Brother Hayne or Brother Dime.
Right. We learned that from Hain that long ago that his people worshipped a god whose name they no longer speak. He abandoned them during the war, and now they mainly all signed the 8, but Haim has learned the grace of the divine. Which it makes me wonder. I just have a lot of questions about the 8 in general, because we know the 6. We know those are the magicians and the demons. Who are Amanota?
Yeah, where do they play in all of this? Like, are they the
They don't.
divine and the infernal? And they're just like laughing at everyone? Because, you know, Ransom hates the gods. He thinks that they're all just sitting there laughing at us. What if they are? What if Amma and Oda are the one that just created all of this? They're like, this is so funny.
This gives me the giggles. Yeah, I don't know. We know that Hain came to Calandra with Like, all the Voster came with their ancestors, the Starling ancestors, so why did they switch up on them and start hating them?
Because 3 Starling helped save. So, like,
Mhm.
why turn your back on the well, they did see them turn into the Crux. So maybe they thought
Right.
they were negative all along. They're like, it's a sign that they are not from the divine.
We know that Hayne wants to go back to Ken. But he would need to break the ties he has to this land, and he wouldn't answer if the magic traps them there or if it's his oaths, which I think that could go one and the same.
Right.
Yeah, so Hayne came back and was being super mysterious and was like, "Child, I can't tell you shit because of these oaths, so ask the right questions." Very Zayden of him. So we have a line of questioning that was fucking weird. If the magicians lost their battle against the Starlings, something would have happened to them. They would have been imprisoned or executed. Hayne answer would not answer what happened to the magicians. He says immediately after, the Voster send our people to the sea when they die. What does that have to do with the magicians? Unless the magicians are, in fact, the Voster that went bad. Not like all of them, but it just doesn't make sense. And I mentioned above that they got these gifts from the demons, and that's how they have magic. So then Caspia says, so the magicians went to sea? And he asks her, what do they do with their dead? And she tells him that they burn them and then their ashes are put into the orbits, which is where they put the magicians, and the magicians' magic corrupted the land. But the Voster and the magicians, it's weird.
Like,
Even the story of monastery, like that feels Vostery to me.
magic in this world is weird overall. Like, why is it poisoning? Like, it's poisoning the Swift, but is shifting not magic? Like, you
Right.
would assume, which shame on me if we're assuming, but is it like they are the Starling, the light magic versus dark magic? If the 6 were granted power by demons, aka the Infernal, the dark, and this happened in Calandra, is Calandra the Infernal's home? Is Nelphenix the land of the divine, aka the land of glory? And that's why the Starling are blessed? And then once again, did the Voster take something from the Starling, which in turn poisoned Calandra?
Yeah, it's confusing because they keep on saying like the Starling don't belong there, right? Like, and they shouldn't be there, but they originally were there. If that was their original home, then why it's wouldn't they belong there? Obviously the match is corrupted and it's bad for them, but like it doesn't make sense.
No, this book truly has left me with way more questions than answers. Very curious how this is all going to be wrapped up in one book because there's a lot.
Well, and even in Caspia, she has a vision that sees Hayne on the cliff with black blood, and he says this prayer: by the grace of the divine, guide them home. By the grace of the divine, grant these Starling the strength to do what I could not. By the grace of the divine, welcome me to glory. He says that in Nelphenix. So, guide them home, meaning bring them where? Because if their original home is Calandra, would you want them to come back? Or you
Allegedly,
right.
there's not one reliable narrator because history is not recorded accurately for either of them. So we really don't even know where the actual Starling are from. We don't know where they migrate to still. A lot of questions. My biggest one being they ask if a Voster has ever been born in Calandra. Like, and we know none have been. Are they celibate? Are those Voster fucking?
I yeah, because they must be celibate now because it's just brotherhood. But he had a wife and children that were dead in Ken. So my question is, do the women and children look like the other Voster? Are they the same species? Like what?
Do normal people from Nelphenix become attracted to these Voster if they look this way? Were they corrupted over in Calandra and so they look goofy as fuck?
Well, and Caspia says she's never seen one before. So did they look normal over there in Ken, and then the magic corrupted them to look this way because it's dark magic? I mean, that would make sense with the black pool of eyes, the
Terrible
nails.
nails, the salad fingers, all of that.
So what if they're normal looking?
They're
I
like
know.
grade A hotties over in Beeson.
I have a lot of questions about Beeson.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm thinking that the Voster probably don't look like this. And they became corrupted in this land.
Okay, but they can cut their fucking nails. I just want to point that out. Not one thing is stopping them. They are stopping themselves. So obviously they're into it. Fashion, baby. We just don't understand.
Yeah, what's the point of that?
I don't know.
Well, we said that that's where they write all their oaths on their nails.
Well,
One nail to rule them all.
the more oaths they take, the longer they grow. Every time
So,
somebody else takes an oath, their nails still grow.
so what if you just cut the nails in the oath? That kills it. They're done.
I think that's what's going to actually solve it. A good Manny.
Yeah. And that's the point of Devney's book, is that self-care matters.
Done. Part 3. Solid.
I think I'm just having a hard time realizing that, oh shit, they didn't probably look like that in Ken.
You're like flabbergasted that they
I am, because there's women and children of this Voster type over there.
They make baby Voster.
But why did only the men survive? Why? It just feels like they came over there and all these Vosters went into this monastery and their god forsake them. So then they made a deal with the Inferno devil demons.
It sounds like they didn't have a really well thought out plan when they traveled. They
No.
needed a
Men
travel
usually
partner.
don't. Men usually don't make well thought out plans, so it makes sense. Their wives were all killed off, and now they're like forced to try to make a plan.
But why do they know so much about visions? And the
Well,
accuracy of them. Another weird thing.
yeah, because who was before Caspia? How did they know they knew things from before?
So once again, visions are common in the Starling and have been for a long time. And Aunt O is just like, no, thank you. If I don't receive it, I don't believe it.
Yeah, because who was there before? Because if we know time frame wise, Caspia's not that old. Like, we're talking 50 years, and we knew that this whole thing has been going for at least 300.
Right.
So that means that there had to be somebody else. We know her mom, if she even exists, is MIA. So was she here before?
If she even exists, she's just a test tube baby.
I meant like, is she Aunt O? But Aunt O being her mom. But I feel as if, well, and we still have that one fucking comment that Ramsey made about red hair.
Yeah, like why know that? Once again, pen pals with Aunt O.
So many questions.
Last thing we want to talk about is visions, though.
Cassie explains she had this vision: a mountain forest covered in white, countless graves beyond a fortress wall, a man with black braids and one leg holding his newborn son. So a couple things. First, it sounds like Alsaria with the fortress wall. That's what it's giving me. Second, why are there so many graves beyond a fortress wall? If this is Alsaria, does that mean the graves are always there, or is this just because of the Crux killings? And clearly that's Tilia's husband and babe. But why is this vision important?
Something in my gut is telling me that it is tied to this conversation. Do you think it's between Emery and Aunt O? Of course, here we go, back to Aunt O. Dumb bitch. Just kidding. We don't know that yet. Do you think I intended to spend Graciella's life in a rotting hole in Visa, my blood stolen by their alchemists for experiments? Do you think I wanted to watch the love of my life be chained and tortured, to live at the mercy of those bastards who used my child against me until she finally broke? And this is a detail that I don't think can be left out. Someone's going to be injected with something from Emery. They took my child, they ripped her from my arms and used her to keep me captive. They ran tests on her and stole like a whole ass baby. And I don't know why, but I just feel like something with Alisaria and this vision, it just ties to this because this one's relevant and there's no other. It's just weird.
Well, yeah, because why the fuck does the Beeson King, like, who is he? And why does he have alchemists? He's obviously trying to experiment on the Starling and just pointing out yet again that the old language is a Beeson dialect. Voster aren't from Bisa. Their land was commandeered by them, but not technically Beesons. So in the beginning of the book, Caspia makes the comment that the Beeson king murdered the Voster because of religious differences, but Caspia thinks it's essentially about land and greed. So did the Beesons come out to Calandra and try to take over? It wouldn't make sense for them to be the magicians because the Voster wouldn't worship them if they killed their whole family. But like, what? Why do they have alchemists?
They're the alchemists from Lane.
I know.
Once again, it just makes me super suspicious. I don't know why I feel like there is a tie to Alisaria and the Beeson King. I just feel like there is because like that's where the boss is from. Like what if they are like plotting to get back at the Beesons because obviously the Voster left and like, but once again, the king doesn't trust the Voster.
Yeah, he's killing them all off. So, and what happened to that baby?
Where's the motherfucking baby? What if
Yeah.
that baby is Ransom? And we know it's not.
No, because of the time frame. But there's other things about this vision. So we know it's in fairly real time because we see that Aunt O has aged quite a bit. One thing that I found weird is the comment that there are scars all over Aunt O's arms. Was she that powerful Swift that was unable to switch back, but was able to when she got to the Ken land because the Elfalter was like the beacon, like come here? And I think you might be on about Biston, but also she seems as if she's lost hope and she's looking off into a far off land that will be her doom, which feels like Calandra. And if you think about how the hell would they know there isn't anything good when it comes with the number 6 unless somebody knew about the 6, like we said, and came back to their land and told that story. And I think it's Anno.
Miston and Aunt O were fucking at some point because maybe she did pick him to watch over Caspia initially if she wasn't able to shift. But why choose him specifically and take him away from Xandra? It's weird. Aunt O makes really fucking weird moves. Truly.
Why the scars all over her arms? That's why the powerful. So I'm like, was it her?
What if she was the Pythoness?
Well, we don't really know how old these people can get.
Yeah, because all we know is a loose timeline of Voster and Sora of their lengths of life.
400-ish years ago?
Yeah.
Right? Is it 400
The
or 300?
Vosters are several centuries old. Obviously, they came over with the Starling, so they're bare minimum 300. And then Sora was at least 100 because she was gone for 100. And that's
Yeah,
all
so if she could live to be 100 and she was a Starling, which she sounds to be, how old is Aunt O really? And she was worried about the Starling power dwindling. Is that why she's starting to age so much? Like, what's... They must kill 7, maybe. They're trying, so each one that gets killed of Starling is making the power go down, maybe? Some aren't
that
shifting.
chain of 7s. Because, like,
Yeah.
once again, that detail really sticks with me because it's specifically female. So maybe it is weakening the bloodline.
Yeah, I think the chain of 7s is one of those things that it's almost like they want us to forget about it and it will be a callback for book 3.
But it's us. Absolutely not.
I want to tell a sad about Andreas. Andreas held Caspia's dead body in the ground. He had been there for 2 days, and he asked Hawksley to get her blankets because his wife was cold. Grief was eating the poor guy alive. He felt like it was all his fault. And Hallie brought Odessa to see her papa, but he told her to keep that baby away from him. Hawksley told him to let her go, and he said,
He was actually like, get that baby back bitch away.
that's probably what he said.
That's how I refer to my child. Get that baby back bitch away. When I was in the hospital, yeah. Bring me my baby back bitch, baby.
I want that baby back.
I went straight to ribs.
I want the baby back.
We're going to recap Odessa's chapters. It's a little lengthy. We'll put a timestamp so you guys can skip it. So Xavier's alive. Odessa is adamant on getting a cure for her man Ramsey. He agrees that she can have a vial of blood for their head healer, except the head healer wasn't the homie she once knew. Jeff with a G. No, this is a gal from a story she read, so she knows she's where she needs to be. She gives her Luella's alchemy journal. Odessa visits the Crux mural where she runs into Brother D and he calls the Crux basically cool. Odessa trains with Ransom, and her old weapons master decides that he will train her after seeing them fighting and gives her a little nug about her mamacita. Ransom breaks a guard's arm for torturing a horse, and he's sassy from Lissa in his blood. Odessa tried to talk to King Cross about her mom, but got shot down even after he was shocked to find out that she can feel the Vibro's magic. Odessa visits the Crux mural again and intrudes on Margot's spicy meetup with the general. Margot gives deets about her own mother and Odessa's mother. Allure made the elixir, but needs to recreate the infection, so she has Ransom spit into that thing, aka another tube. Ransom wasn't a big fan and stormed off. May was a bitch to Baby E and FaZe by tying him up too tight and ripping E's shirt during unplanned training. Ransom and Odessa passionately fuck all night long after talking about his mom. Naturally, one would.
That's what you do.
Odessa drops some eaves on Margot and her dad, hears nothing, then asks her dad about Brother D. Odessa yelled at her dad, left, and saw Brother Score's robes, but lost him in the castle. She heard Evie scream and found her outside with Ransom, bloodied from a guard who tried to take FaZe. Odessa sees Brother Score in the window and makes Ransom panic because he's Kennen, and allegedly Kennen are bad. Now, Odessa is like shit after Ransom fills her in on the propaganda he has received. Odessa finally tells Ransom about the waterfall. They don't trust anyone. Des really doesn't trust the Voss, but Ransom is hooked on that Voss sauce. Gross. Odessa went to take FaZe for a walk and then visit May's room. 6 guys, 6 planned to take down Ransom, but got Odessa, who was walking FaZe instead. They wanted to sell FaZe for parts. Out of nowhere came May, who beat the shit out of the guards until she lost the lead. Odessa kills one, Ransom saves the day after taking it a little too far, and then went MIA. Odessa checks in with Allure again. The saliva didn't work, and neither did the Tarkins, but she's not giving up. When Odessa, who had Baby E with her, left the infirmary, they ran into Big Cass, Xavier, Samuel Hayes, and his son Jonas, who just arrived. They were playing catch up when May burst in and told Odessa to get to the throne room, and then they were talking about heading back to Tura. May decided she's going with them. They go to the throne room, and King Cross kicks everyone out except Odessa. He tells her about Ransom being arrested since King Cross is just not a fan of him. Odessa heads to where he's being held, and somehow Brother Score knows to show up there to siphon the Lissa from the Guardian's blood. After Ransom gets siphoned, he spills the beans about the Crux in Elder and how she shifted after death, and there have been no other scouts. He burned the body so no one knows. Margot chooses then to walk in and give Odessa a book to read and then go chat with her dad. King Cross fills Odessa in on her mom and that he did kill her, and that if they destroy the remains of the 6, he believes the magic in the lands will vanish. They just don't know how to destroy the glass orbits because the magic has been corrupt. The magic has corrupted the glass. King Cross apologized to Odessa, shared that he hasn't been laid since her mom. Odessa gave her spit to Allure after a talk with their dad, then checks out the library for the mems, and then Koss grabs Odessa the book Caspia wrote of her visions, and then she talks to Brother Score there. He said a cure for Alyssa is unlikely, tells her that she is the warrior she was supposed to find. The gang's getting back together. Thora and Jody are escorting Odessa and Ransom around. Ransom says, I love you to Odessa. She feels the thrum and then lies to Ransom. It's a lot that fucking happens in this book. But still no answer.
Yeah.
And then
Part 3, a big one.
And then we end the book with what we can assume is Odessa's vision. A silver-eyed warrior falls to his knees as the ground trembles. Dark green blood drips from his fingertips. A deafening scream pierces the air. The beat of massive wings blows the hair from his face. He stares at the monster and sets down his blade. And before the warrior meets his end, he whispers, "My queen."
Still a freaking stand, but I guess to be able to communicate with him and won't kill Rant.
There's so much foreshadowing. It's all the reminders of "I love you." It's "I know, I know, I know."
Don't you forget. Don't you forget. Over and over and over.
It's
Like,
for the both of
that.
them, so neither of them forget when they
Mhm.
get
Go to
lost in the
the.
sauce. We were so right. So glad that Margot's a homie. I want you to know that I always tried to protect you from your hair to your dresses. I only meant to keep you safe, to keep my vow. Break away from the step monster's mold. We love her. But vows concerning starlings are no joke because hers, like, outweighed her dad's.
Mhm. And I'm just glad Margot wasn't being a homie, wasn't back on her bingo card. But it makes me think, do you remember how May was allowed to bang around all she wanted because kings have certain tastes? And that's like, ew, I don't want to hear about my father. What's so sad is poor Margot, who actually loved Andreas, is she didn't actually know the king's tastes. Like, she's like, oh, like, they never banged.
He has not banged anyone since Caspia, and that's crazy. We're talking like 25 years.
That's love.
Yeah. He's like, I am in solidarity with the Voster.
It's almost like he made an oath to love her forever.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Mhm. Speaking of oaths, Brother Dime told Odessa magic is intent and has consequence. Take, for example, a blood oath. The intent is in the spoken word, in the vow itself. Magic makes it real by consequence. I do find it interesting that the Starling really care about their vows, and the Vibros seem to have adopted that here.
There's just so much magic in those oaths.
There's just a lot of overlap between the Starling and how the Voster Bros operate.
But, well, some half of the Voster
Right.
worship the same gods, so I guess it does make sense. But why did half stray? Once again, we will get derailed with Voster talk.
Mhm.
The Starling vows truly tend to outweigh other commitments. Like I said, King Cross said this to Odessa, or said this about Margot. She swore to me she didn't, but whatever vow she made to your mother was stronger than any promise she made. And I want to remind everyone, based on promises, Odessa vowed to kill Ransom if necessary. What he deems necessary will be different than what Des does, but he made her swear it. And I wonder how that's going to play into all this because of the whole Starling vow situation.
That's a very excellent point. Not good.
Not great,
Not great. I
especially
mean,
with the vision from at the ending of the book.
that would have been a moment where, like, that vow was starting to take over, and hopefully everything we've said about don't you forget, remembering, like, the old language, maybe the sonnets, being able to speak to it, something will work out there. But the vow, I totally forgot that she made that vow.
Back in book one,
Mhm.
from vows to Voster.
Like that.
It's a sick transition, and I'm leaving it. There's a lot to unpack with the Voster. We know that there's a disconnect within the Voster. Brother Dime and Brother Score made that apparent by helping out Odessa. But Ransom panics when he sees Brother Score calling him Kennen. These are the same Voster that worship the divine. Ransom's propaganda he has received is they are a faction of zealots. It means he's a traitor to the Brotherhood. Generations ago, before the Shield of Sparrows Treaty was formed, there was a war within the Brotherhood. Few know it happened. Even fewer risk speaking of it. But my father felt it was important for me to know of the Kennen giving Tura's allegiance to the Voster. The Brotherhood fractured during the war. Those who opposed the Voster's ideals, the Zealots, were killed. But some escaped death, and in their exile formed the Kennen. They believed they themselves should rule the 5 kingdoms, that those with magic should be in power. We know from Caspia that the Beesons had invaded and waged war against the Voster, persecuting them for religion. And then after 100 summers of fighting, the Beesons were victorious. The Voster had been slaughtered, their homeland stolen. Those survived and fled into hiding. Most lived deep in the wilderness, though the Beesons still hunted the people. They are nomads and most live in hiding. We know some escaped to Calandra. But I'm curious if the Beesons were onto something. What was the Voss trying to do over there? Like, why did the Beesons randomly start a war against them? Did the Voster kind of have the same views? And then, like, they were all drinking the Kool-Aid and then went to Calandra and they're like, oh, it's a little too fucked up for me.
I don't know. I think that's hard. And I also I do feel like there's some type of connection with the high priest and the Beesons. Like, he went bad.
The girls go mad. The high priest is super powerful, and most people think of the Voster as allies, but Ransom said that Brother Score is more powerful than the Voss Boss. Why can't Score overpower the Voss Boss? Like, does the Voss Boss actually have like a magical grip on whatever Voster are left? I mean, obviously we know that there's oaths and whatnot, but like, can he do something to kill his brother?
Well, we know that the high priest was a part of the main early treaties. Maybe this one, Brother Score wasn't. So he has less power in that way, but magical wise, he has more power.
But what gave him so much?
Well, that's why it all comes down to magicians.
We still don't know how many there are. Uh, we still don't know what caused some to turn against the Voss Boss and form the Kennen, which is an ode to their land, Ken, that the Beeson stole. And like, how do the Voster truly know so much? Like, why are they so in the know with these visions and knowing that Odessa was on the right path? Like, how could they help out Caspia? Like, why do they know so much?
I don't know. Like, they make the point that the high priest has tried to change history before or has changed history before. So it's like, what was the high priest hiding about the Voster's history? And if they've all been there at the same time, because no other new have come, mm, so many questions, but obviously they can't answer because of Blood Oaths.
Aunt O and the Voss Boss were together. She was infatuated with him. And then they got in a fight and broke up. So he left the land, went to Calandra, and there we go. And then Biston went, because he's now in love with Aunt O, to go take out the Voster, but it didn't work out. They're like, he's so scary. And then they painted that mural of him. So yeah, it
Yeah.
really comes down to Aunt O was fucking a Voster. Infatuated, truly.
Just love that long fingernails.
She's like, give me
Really
that
got her.
back scratch, baby.
That's why she has scars all over her arms.
Oh my God, they're kinky sex.
Yep. Figured it out.
Gross.
The comment that they all want to return to Ken but are bound to Calandra by blood oaths made at a time when their magic was new, and the only way to break those bonds is to eliminate the magic in the realm. What and who did they make their blood oaths to? Each other? The magicians? Like, we still have no idea how many freaking Voster there are, and I think that was intentional and why Odessa brought that up in the beginning.
Yeah, I wonder if like the way that they word their oaths, does it tie it specifically to the land or their gods?
Uh-huh. And if it was a gift, so their magic was a gift from this land. So what if more Voster did survive? Like when they were, say, let's say the Voster were the men in that monastery up in Alisaria, which is what it kind of sounds like vibe-wise, and 6 of them went bad. Yeah, I know it's hard. 6 of them went bad, and there were some still surviving. They didn't all die. They lied. Like, who's to say that that's not true? They were lying about everything. So then the Voster started, the 6 were really those demons, and they were other Vibros.
I feel like the OG6 were V-Bros.
I think so too.
Like,
And
it's
then
that
have the remaining Vibros.
because once upon a time, like, it was, we have Beesons, we have Starling. So, like, why not the Voster as just normal fucking guys? And
I think they were normal. Then they got corrupted by that magic, which was a gift.
it was accelerated nail growth.
They had a lot of collagen in there. And I feel like the Vibros are magicians. Like the magicians.
They are the OG6. And that's why, they talk about getting rid of the magicians. Specifically, King Cross talks about it because he knows that you have to, like, 86 the fucking boss.
Well, and Odessa's always made the comment that she thinks the Voster are monsters. Like in book 1, that's what they are. Obviously, there's some good ones. The Kennen. I think the Kennen got lost in the sauce for a little bit, and then they saw their ways, and they're like, "This isn't right. How do we have these powers?" Maybe they didn't even know that 6 of the V-Bros made that deal.
Maybe the land gave Brother Hane more magic so he could, take out the boss. I hope we never get his name, and that's what we just continue to call him, the High Priest.
Yeah, boss.
Yeah, it's boss forever.
Oh, brother score. Yeah, brother score against. I think there will be a brother score boss battle in book 3.
I'm just picturing, like, Voldemort's fighting each other. Avada Kedavra!
Mhm. But I want you to know that I picture that the V-Bros, when they run, it's like Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. It's only the
100%.
with the I think that was one of the things that the high priest was lying about, and how they got their power is because they got it from those demons.
They did not, in fact, get it from their mama.
Mm-mm.
Brother Score shared to Odessa, your Starling magic is poison to your blood. She asked them, why doesn't the magic impact me like it did my mother? My blood is red. I can see in the dark. I can't see in the dark or move at twice the speed of normal people. He shares, you were born on this continent. Your father is Calandra, and the magic in this land has been a part of you since your conception. The ancient texts say that the original Starling left when they became trapped in their shifted form. When the monsters they became took control. I believe you're more like your distant Starling ancestors than you are your mother or relatives from Nelphenix. What ancient texts? Once again, what caused the original Starling to get stuck? Like, what happened to the magic in the land that was like, nay, I like you like this?
I feel like it was Sora going over there and getting the monsters we'd never seen. I also think that it was Vibros
Mm,
bringing them back.
It's going to
And
tie to
then,
that ship with the
yeah,
circles of women.
and then they bring them over, and then they're in that monastery, they're separate. There was a time of peace, but then they made the deal with the fucking demons. And then that's when the Swift got stuck.
Because they didn't want the Starling to rise to power.
Mm-hmm. Because they had already been kicked out of their own home. They were not going to let that happen again. So they thought that the Swift were a problem.
I agree. No notes.
Okay. I was like, oh, yes.
I just want to say a couple good things about King Cross because we weren't sure if he was a homie or a hater. He is a homie, and he doesn't discriminate against gender, and I think that's cool. Which in fantasy kings often do that. But he wanted the best and the brightest in his employ. Like, good for him. But he did a disservice to Odessa by hiding everything. Like, clearly he knew that and was trying to protect her. Both him and Margot protect her from the boss. And I think that's beautiful.
I think so too. And like, I wish we got to know more of him just because we find out that when Andreas was talking to Caspia, Caspia was like, "I was an excellent student. I was a favorite." And he was like, "Oh, well, I caused trouble and was a problem." And we know how Des is. And it sounds like she's more like her dad than she knows, but they never got to be goofy gals and guys together.
This is why I could have had so much more of their story. I would truly take a backstory because maybe we get more about the Voster and like, oh, imagine if it was both the king's point of views. I would be
I
interested in a male's point of view in a book if it was that, because we would get their interactions with the Voster, which would both be very different.
We only want it for history's sake. I don't really care about what a man has to think,
Correct.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I want it for like the drama.
Theory
Yeah,
is this. Yeah, we want the drums. We wanna make it very clear we do not care about men or their opinions and point of views.
correct.
That is a High Fae Housewives thought.
What a fun fact that we find out that he was not May's daddy.
I know. Or Arthy's.
I was not expecting that little plot twist. I was, like, we got hints in this book, but in book 1, that was not what I saw at all. I didn't see that happening.
No. Well, especially because he's the Gold King, he's got blonde hair, and, like, Margot also has, like, a whitish blonde hair, so I just figured, no, okay.
That's why they played it off. But I don't trust May. I want you to know that I'm not sold on her at all.
Mhm.
I think she's still potentially a foe because we know Odessa didn't become the spy her father wanted to be. We know he ends up spilling the beans with Odessa and his school, but May is still sketchy. May cut a long gash into Evie's shirt, swung at Odessa, and said, "No, you don't understand." She held the blade up, pointing the tip of my nose. The haughty, conceited lilt in her voice became hollow and cold. "You never will." Then Odessa thought, "This is not my sister. Something had happened while I was gone. Something changed." Then she threw a knife at Ransom and said, "I was supposed to be the Sparrow. I should have been the one to leave," and then ran off. And then May asked Odessa to talk. And the whole situation's weird. Before Odessa went outside, the guard at the exit hesitated before letting me outside. "Would you like me to escort you, Highness?" the man asked, but Odessa said no. So it almost seemed like his Peter tingle was going off because, like, that guard seemed cool through all of this.
Mhm.
And then Odessa gets jumped by 6 guys, and they said they were looking for Ransom and Faze. And I feel like May set it up. Odessa asked how May knew she was out there. May conveniently was coming out of the dining room when I saw you head outside. Glad I decided to follow. And then Odessa invited May back to the suite, and May retreated to her own rooms, asking one of the guards to send for Captain Bricks. Why wouldn't the lovers be in on something nefarious together? Especially because Cross isn't her real daddy, it's the general. And when Odessa went to King Cross, she asked him if he sent the men. The color drained from his face like I'd slapped him. So the men last night hadn't been his doing. They were someone else's doing. And I think it's May. Truly, romantasy books are like really intense soap operas. On that note, could May start the trek with ill intent and then do the right thing?
That's possible, but I think that portion of something happened to May when I was gone is key because May spent her whole life seeming like the favorite, getting all the attention from King Cross, training her to be this spy. And then when he doesn't have use for her anymore, it's not his real daughter. She's not being treated like, I bet you he's not even interacting with her.
Like, why she trained her whole life and then to be the Sparrow and then wasn't. Like, I would hold some major fucking resentment for this, like, something you trained for your whole life. But she's just so mean to Odessa. I don't trust May. So anybody who thought May was redeemed, I'm not on your page. I just don't trust her because her story stops after this. We don't hear anything else from May. Like, why meet up with Bricks? Like, why not have the comfort of your sister after you guys were both traumatized outside together? Why do you want to meet up with your lover? Like, what? Like, I understand not wanting to talk about it more, but like, it was weird. Convenient timing. May's shifty as fuck.
Yeah, I still don't know if and she was just whiny anyways. Book 1, she was whiny, like, "You're gonna miss me," and, like, annoying, so I didn't like that, and she's blonde, so that's another strike against her. Like, there's just that. Sorry, blondes.
I feel like she's still going to try and sabotage things.
Mm-hmm.
I think May has her own agenda. She does.
Yeah, I think Margot's the good one, and out of the two of them, like I actually think Margot's good. I do. But is that because of the vow she made? No, I think she's a homie.
I think Margot's a homie, but I think growing up, she fed May like the hate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not intentionally, but did.
Yeah.
May's just going to be forever resentful. I just, once again, don't trust her. I don't have high hopes for her potentially redemption, but I think May's just going to be shitty. Not
Well,
everyone can be good.
Odessa has made so many comments of like, I just need to realize that that's not who my sister is. Like, she's never going to be the lovey one. And I think it's going to be a part of Odessa's story in book 3 of her realizing, like, I may love my sister, but that person that I love actually doesn't exist. She only was nice to me because I was nice to her. So once she's gone, once she's no longer the favorite, thinks that like, oh, my dad trusts me and all this stuff, it all crumbles down and now it's just hate towards Odessa because Odessa was the wallflower princess, the one that nobody cared about, like the forgotten princess.
And now that's May.
Mm-hmm. And she didn't like it.
She's the new gray gal.
No great gal with a daddy that doesn't like her.
Yeah, nothing's holding her back. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way
I
up.
mean, just when they walk in, King Cross is like with his family's not around him. Mario's not there. He just looks bored with his poor little wine glass.
I'm curious to see like all the family's trajectory in the next book.
May's bad. I don't think she'll have a redemption.
I think King Cross is cool. I think May's not gonna have redemption. Margot's cool. Ramsey still TBD.
I I think it would make an interesting story to set him up to be evil this whole time, and he's not.
Once again, we both agree that he is doing what's best for his people. Like tunnel vision on that for sure. Unclear like morals. I would like him to be good because he is hesitant on the boss.
Right. And like even though Ramsey says that their loyalty to the Voster and like Ransom makes that comment, his dad's loyal to the Voster. I think that Ramsey may have found out some things along the way and is staying close, but is not really.
Keep your
Like
friends close, but your enemies closer. They're frenemies.
like the fact that he's created this whole new army, like there's just things militia, I should say, sorry. Yeah, things about him that I don't know if he's bad. I don't think he's good, but like I don't think he's bad.
No.
Maybe it's we'll see.
I think we'll definitely go to Nelphenix and we're gonna meet Aunt O the next book.
I definitely think so because when she got that thrum, what was happening? She was looking out on the cliff, looking out towards what would probably be Nelphenex.
We both think that May will get a point of view, but now thinking that May's evil, I'm wondering if she will. If she's on the journey, I think that her and Jody will fuck. I think that that is going to happen.
Oh no.
May's a little mix. She's gonna want to get dick down.
And we love that for her.
Yeah,
We
for sure.
support that. We just don't think she's a good person.
Yeah,
Get your dick, but like don't be a dick.
right. We both think that Odessa will turn and the Guardian will remind her that she loves him. They will communicate. Um, we still have a lot of questions though going into the next book. Like how many Voster are left? Whether or not there's an orbit in Alsaria or the boss is hiding something more. Did a chain of 7 set off a lack of shifting from the Swifts? Is Calandra magic dark and then Elfinic Starling magic light magic? Is Calandra the Infernal's home? Is Nelphenix the land of the divine? What happened to Aunt O for her to swear off love and not be distracted from ruling Nelphenix? Maybe she swore off love because Biston can never turn back. She does not want her heart broken again.
No, not again.
But weird choice if let's say she was a lover of Biston, weird choice to have like your niece ride him.
What a sentence. What a sentence that is.
And then, our last question really, are the Voster the original 6 when they were men?
Yeah, I think that's my one that I'm sticking with pretty much. I also lots of questions about the Beast and King. What are they doing? What are their alchemists doing with the Starling? We have questions there for sure. And what the fuck? Who's Caspia's mom? What was she doing?
Is the Elfalter going to play a huge part in this? Or are we just going to forget about it? Imagine there's nothing to do with it.
Like maybe they're not beacons for werewolves, but the Elfalter is a beacon for the Starling. Like maybe that. I really think that could be it. What if it is? That'd be fun.
I do think that is, like, it's calling because, once again, why plate your fucking roof in that? Weird choice to plate your whole castle in gold because it's such a soft metal. Like, that's not very protection. That's not very protection.
Hmm. But they only did the portion of where the Swift would come, right?
Yeah. Like, why do, like, turrets and stuff? They're just weird. Weird choices
Because
all around.
it's just a beacon for them to go there. A reminder. It calls to them.
Weird choices.
We also need what's going on with Big Cat? What's going on with Sora? Not and Sora. Mike Tyson's favorite.
Once again, this book opened up so many more fucking questions than answers. This is the messiest middle book we have ever read because not shit is answered.
No. We did come up with quite a bit of theories throughout this. We looked up a lot of things, but it's hard when we know that history cannot be trusted.
Because both of them are very conflicting.
I still think the Voster were magicians. That's my one that I'm pretty confident on.
Mine is there's Elfalter in the orbits.
Yeah, and it's a beacon for
Yeah.
sure. I was calling it. We 100% know that Des will be going to Nelphinex too. She'll be meeting Aunt O.
I wonder if she's going to have to travel to, like, the Beeson land.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about Beeson, the Beeson Kings.
This next book better be thick because there's so much that needs to be answered. Or give us 2. I'll take that. I'll take 2 more books.
She's not going to. She's
I-
already finished.
I
I think.
know. She wrote the end and we reposted it on our story. So yeah.
I know. I said that. I was like, no, it is. So are we thinking May's going to get a POV, or is it just going to be Dev's this next time?
It's not
What
going to
about
be
Thora?
Death.
What if it's Thora? What if she gets a little POVs?
I would be interested because her story, there's more to her story because we have a vision for her or an actual story for her. And so there's more to Thora's story.
Yeah. Who the fuck is Salem?
Yes, I want to know who Salem is. Maybe he's another Voster that just deals in the shadows.
What if Caspia's mom fell in love with Salem, whoever this man is? That was the man that she fell in love with.
That was Aunt O's other lover.
Yeah.
Aunt O just loving everyone.
Mm-hmm. She's more love to go around always.
That's why she doesn't commit.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait for the next book.
Thanks for giggling through part 3 and our final episode of Rites of the Starling.
Hit that subscribe button and give us a review wherever you listen. Make sure that you're following us on social media for all of our latest updates, which includes theories and more new book goofing. All links are in our info, you giggling gal pals.